place of worshiping, as a place of worship, the act of worshiping in Islam is not limited only to the prostration of bowing or fasting or giving charity or going to Hajj, to Mecca. The concept of worshiping in Islam is quite an extensive concept. Anything that you do following the command of God is an act of worshiping. So in this masjid, as well as we worship God by following His commands, we also learn to take care and look after each other. And this is what this message is for. In this masjid, and when we also like taking care and look after each other, if you see the Pak Teguh's presentation before, we look after and take care of each other from birth to death and beyond. Not only from birth to death, but and beyond as well. So this is what we're trying to do here. We regularly hold events like baby naming ceremony. Oftentimes we do weddings here. I'm a marriage celebrant, so I do that quite often here. We comforting our community members when bad things happen, like sickness or loss of life. We learn to to comfort each other through this masjid, in this masjid. And the other things as well that we often do in this masjid is like we inviting people to come. I'll speak to sister here. But we invite people to come. We are very open here. We are very open in our masjid. Nothing to hide here. And regularly we have visitors, different faiths, people who don't believe at all in God, who come and have a look and try to learn about Islam. Try to find out what Islam is about. And especially after what happened last Friday, it's actually quite like a moment where many people question and try to find out more and to become curious. To find out about what Islam is, why there's so many hatreds against Islam, why so many misconceptions about Islam. And that's kind of the things that people come here to ask. Even like during the fasting month. During the fasting month, the mosque here, and you find it in the many mosques as well, when we are fasting, we invite the people around here to join us in breakfasting. So some of them actually take it to the extent like the fasting for the day and join us breakfasting in the afternoon. We call it iftar or something like that. Look, brothers, sisters, the concept of mosque in Islam is a very wide concept. The things that we do in this masjid is, if you follow what we presented before, is so wide range of activities of recovery. This mosque, for example, we are very proud with our youth, with our children. We teach our children in this masjid about Islam and how to become a good citizen. Not only like, and that is something that actually, according to the teaching of we teach them Islam, and also to teach them to become good citizens and what they can do to contribute to the wider society. And this is part of our Islamic teaching as well. We teach them to be grateful to God for allowing us to be part of this great nation of Australia, and that has to be that great gratitude that they have to put that into practice, not only as a teaching, but we encourage them to study hard, to become someone that can contribute to the wider society. We are proud of our youth, the MISC and IMCV. Through these programs that we offer through IMCV, we managed to engage our young next generation to focus on something positive. They get to know each other, they learn about religion, and they involved in sports and other social events, and then they do something to the communities. You see many of our youth involved in food bank. There are many of them involved in feeding the homeless. This is as a result of this. And all of these ideas is something that actually coming from this mosque. So all these ideas, we talk about it, we discuss, and then we plan how to carry out this. And so this is the things that we do in the mosque. A lot of things, it's not only, worshipping as people would think, only like prostrating or bowing, is like that. A lot of things that we do in this mosque. I don't want to talk too much, but most important, when we preach and teach our community about Islam, we teach our community to respect and to value lives. This is the things. When I see around now, this is the things that we, often we say, we teach to our people. There's a verses in the Quran when Allah said, Ya ayyuhan nas inna khalaqnakum min dhakari wa unsa wa ja'alna min shuba wa qaba'ila li ta'arafu in akramakum indallahi atqakum. God says in the Quran, oh mankind, all of us, God says, oh you, mankind, that I actually created you from single men and women. And then God turned us into tribes and nations, not to hate each other, not to hurt each other, but lita'arafu, get to know each other and learn to love each other. This is why God created us in difference. And God says, Inna akramakum indallahi atqakum. And this is the message that we want to spread to the community. That we here, even though we are different colors, coming from different backgrounds, speak different languages, but we are equal in the eyes of God. The only things that make us different is how close you are to God. But other than that, you are equal. So in this masjid, we respect and value the sanctity of lives God has given us. We teach our community to remain patient and spread the message of peace. After such horrible things that happened, unfolded last Friday, you would never hear from this masjid or from any masjid a message of hatred, a message of violence, encouraging revenge, something like you would never hear such things like that from masjid. You would hear the leaders, the imam would call the people to stay calm, to remain patient, and to forgive. Yes, this man, this guy, yes, he's white, but we don't think that all white people are evil. Yes, he quoted the Bible, but we don't believe that the Bible preach evilness and hatred. Yes, he is Australian, but look at us here. The support that we enjoy from Australians because of this. And yes, we condemn his act, but we actually teach our community members to learn to forgive him and pray for him, that God forgive his sin and that he be guided. This is the sort of things that coming from the mosque. That what we want people to learn, that we want people to find out as well. Brothers, I really thank you for your presence here. Your presence here means a lot to us as a community. We feel very supported. We feel very humble with your presence here, and we thank you for that. Please come again. Do not wait until another mosque open day. Anytime you're always welcome. Please help us, support us. All the initiatives that we do is nothing but to advance Australia, to be part of this Australia, because we are Australians too. Australia is home for us. Australia is the future of our children. That's why we are here. Just as we got the Honourable Member of Parliament, thank you, sir, for your coming here. Can I mention as well as the initiatives that we have here as well, our community is actually starting to build a school in Narre Warren East. And this is something that, another contribution that we want to make. We bought the land already in Narre Warren East, and we want to build a school that can give people, help people to understand what Islam is. A school that can show people the true color of our religion. And this is what we want to present, a school that teaches Islamic teaching that is moderate, progressive, and contributing to the white community. Again, this is not an easy task for us. We will need your support, and we need to support the community as well. I think that's something that I can say for now, and I welcome any questions.
Just in relation to doing the Hajj,
Yeah.
does every Muslim do that once in their lifetime, or is that something that everyone's expected to do, just not?
Yeah. Thank you. I forgot your name again, sorry? Sue. Yeah. Thanks, Sue, for that question. The Hajj is one of the 5 pillars of our religion. Yes, one of the obligations to those who can afford. Afford in terms of financial, or in terms of the safety, and in terms of the physical well-being as well. So, obliged at least once in their lifetime. So,
Any other question?
any other question?
Yes. There's no off-limit questions.
Yeah.
So any question?
Feel free to ask.
Or probably someone. Yes.
We're open book.
Yes.
Can you please explain to me your understanding of God? Is God the old man in the sky with me? What is your understanding of your Allah? What is your understanding of God?
Yeah, thank you. The concept of God in Islam is basically the same concept of God in the Bible as well. So God is our creator. So the God that you worship in Christianity, the God that you worship in Judaism, is the God that we worship in Islam as well. The word of Allah itself, it means the God. Al means the, Ilah means God. So Al-Ilah, in one word, become Allah. So that, first of all. So God for us is the one, just like in the Bible, in the Old Testament, in the New Testament, the God is the one who created us, who created this universe, and who created everything in it. This is the God. This is the supreme being that has no end and has no beginning, unlike us. He's the one who gives us life, who brings us from nothing to something that we have now. Everything that we have, everything that we enjoy, coming from God. We live this life, not a second we can live without the grace of the God. So He's the one that we deserve our recognition. He's the one that we deserve to acknowledge for everything that He has given us. Look at our body. The heartbeat that we have is a gift from above, from the God. The blood circulation, the digestion system, now how the cells in your body come together and function in such a perfect way. This is the gift of God. And He's the one that without Him, not a second, we can live without. And that is the essence of praying 5 times a day, sister. That through this 5 times a day, we remind ourselves to remember this. Because most of the time in our life, we take this gift of God for granted. We don't want to know God. Like I said again, not even a second, not even a split second, that we can live without the mercy and the grace of God. But in reality is, we don't want to know Him. We forget Him all the time. We take for granted the gifts that He has given us. So praying 5 times a day brings us back to that reality, to remind us again we are nothing without God, and help us to understand, not to repay God, because let's face it, there's no way we can repay God for what He has given us. So the praying actually helps us to understand who we are in the relation of our Creator, and help us to recognize, to acknowledge the gift of lives and the provision and the support He has given us, that we can enjoy and live the lives the way we have now. Yeah, that's the concept of God. And all the worshipping and the things that we do is in that direction. Try to recognize and try to show our gratitude to the Creator. And in terms of language, can be a little bit misleading because in Arabic we call it Al-Ilah, the God. In Christianity you call the word Lord or the Father in the heaven, or God in Yahweh in Judaism, or in Hindu, but He is the supreme being, which is like the origin of Islam. Yes.
Just a follow-on question. Is it true that in Islam, painting pictures of the God is forbidden?
Yeah.
Because that's one of the things you notice if you go into a Christian church, you'll generally find a picture of Jesus.
Yeah.
Whereas you go into a mosque, there's no pictures.
Yeah.
And so you see God as more of an abstract entity rather than a physical creature.
No, we don't say the concept of God is an abstract, but what we understand about the God is nothing like us. God is different to us. He is the creator and He's unlike His creation. So if you try to picture the God with any image, and that will be a wrong representation, a misrepresentation of the concept of God. And we don't want to. One of the concept of believing in God, that we make sure that our worshiping, our gratitude is purely to Him. We don't want to mislead the people, end up worshiping the object rather than worshiping the actual God Himself. Does that make sense? Yeah. That's why it was forbidden.
Any more questions?
All the prophets is part of sent by God to teach us the same message. Bottom line is we believe that God has no intention. It's not God's intention to confuse us with this different religions. The message is actually the same, equal. Every religion, it is like a main product that we name them this and that. But if you look at the message, the message said that we believe and worship the one, the only God. The one, the only God. If you look at the Bible, look at the Torah, it's the same message. If you look at the Ten Commandments, the very first one says that you believe and worship the one, the only God. And that's the message that we have in Islam. That is the message that was brought by Jesus. There was the message that was brought by Abraham, Moses, Solomon, David. All of them come with the same message. So that's why, there's so many things in common between us, Muslim, Christian, with every religion. We preach kindness, we teach good, respect and love to each other. Sorry.
Yeah, that's fine. I mean, some people would ask me, so if that's the case, so when you go to the paradise, so that means only a Muslim guy can only go to the paradise. How about the other religion? We got this kind of question, and then what the reply was, those people who follow the true teachings of Prophet Jesus be upon him, and those people who follow the true teachings of Prophet Abraham, peace be upon him, is going to be in the paradise. The problem is, probably the big question mark is whether we are following the true teachings. That's a big question. I think that's probably if you were to look at the commonalities between the different religions, we are coming from the same message. If you look at the Bible in the Old Testament, all the prophets are the same. You've seen the same prophets being told in Quran. Even the Prophet Jesus, be upon him, has been said so many times more than Prophet Muhammad in the Quran itself. We've got a chapter just specifically for Mary, Virgin of Mary. So That's how we dignified Jesus in our religion. The problem is probably it's not a problem. The only difference is we don't see Jesus as the God. We see Jesus as the messenger. That's the only difference. That's the only difference. That's the only difference. Yeah. I know some people, but that's the only difference. Yeah.
Any
more
other questions?
Before we, so no off-limit question. Yep. Just before, I think one more question before we start off. We're gonna start off the prayers after this one. So probably we'll have another question. Yeah.
I just wanted to say thank you so much for all of your words and explanations. In my family, Gabby is my daughter-in-law, and we feel we are one family, even though my background is Christian, and I don't see any difference in our God, and I'd just love to hear that.
So true.
And I would love to hear this more from Christian faith too. I think it's beginning. But thank you so much for opening